Hello and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by Craft Beer Nation. Today is October 22nd, 2015, and we have Mike Price and Dane Sherry. I'm sure I said that wrong, and he just told me how to say it. Co-owners of St. Boniface Brewing of Ephrata, Pennsylvania, joining us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about their history. We're going to talk about their road to St. Boniface, where they are now, and what's to come. So pour that beer in a glass and get comfortable. And while the theme music plays, that would be the perfect time for you to subscribe to our Pints and Quarts podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, etc. You can also follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter at CBN Community. We're on Instagram at craftbeer_nation. And of course, you can find us on Google+. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us through some of our technical difficulties that we were experiencing just now. I want to take a second to welcome our guests. We have Mike Price and Dane. Dane, can you say your last name for me one more time?
Sorry.
Shirey. Dane Shirey. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
We actually have Gil Mello, who's on site for this interview. How are you doing, Gil?
Drinking beside food.
Say again?
I'm drinking beside food.
Tough job to have, Gil. And I also want to welcome Lola Laracy. Lola's joining us from Jacksonville, Florida. Lola, how are you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good.
All right. So, Mike, Dan, well, I read a little bit about you guys on your website, so I guess the natural thing to do is to go to Mike first, and then we can transition over to Dane and how he kind of got involved in the mix. So, Mike, how did you get involved with craft beer to begin with?
Well, like a lot of guys that started in the craft beer industry, I was a home brewer for about 10 years. John, my partner and the brewer here, he was originally from Rhode Island. We're in Pennsylvania. He was originally from Rhode Island. He moved down. We got to know each other. He was a home brewer as well. He approached me about 5 years into knowing each other and said, "Hey, do you want to start a brewery?" I said, "Sure, why not? That sounds like an easy thing to do." And we immediately found out that it was not an easy thing to do. So that was 5 years ago. We incorporated as a business. We started out on a one-barrel system. Found out pretty quickly that, number one, it wasn't going to be a weekend type of thing to do. It was going to be a constant commitment, so somebody was going to have to quit their day job. John did that a couple months in, and we found out quickly as well that one barrel was not going to work, so we built a three-barrel system. And we survived on that for about 3 years until we upgraded to our 15-barrel system that you're seeing in the background.
You guys sold your 3-barrel.
We did sell the three-barrel system.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh, it's empty.
Yeah.
So it was the reason why you said the one-barrel system wasn't working is because I guess you needed better economies of scale.
Oh yeah, I mean what we didn't really know, because we didn't know anything coming into this industry, was that the way you make money in beer is to do volume. So if you're going to try to do something on a one-barrel scale, there's no way to make money at that scale. Three-barrel, we could make a little bit more money, but at the time, the Pennsylvania laws were such that we couldn't sell pints on premise. So all of our sales had to be growler fills and draft sales for off-premise consumption. So that was tough. But when we were able to then open a tap room, that helped out a lot with profitability. And then the 15-barrel system enabled me to come on full time, and things have been growing. And now you can see things are kind of in disarray behind us. We are receiving 4 more 30-barrel tanks on Monday that we'll be able to double our production and hopefully get up to around 3,000 barrels a year.
Okay, so you started out with the one-barrel system.
Right.
That wasn't enough. You graduated to 3 barrels. That wasn't enough. Now you're at 15 barrels, and you're about to get 4 more fermenters coming in.
Right.
Obviously, you guys are selling some beer.
We are.
And
yeah.
And here's the thing. I've been to Ephrata. Well, I've been to Lancaster. I know where Gil lives. I would never imagine that you would have that problem in Ephrata.
Right.
Because everybody knows this being Amish country, right?
Sure.
So nobody thinks that you'd be able to sell that much beer there, but you guys obviously have found a nice little niche, huh?
Well, yeah, but it's not only us. There are over 25 breweries in Lancaster County, which is kind of astounding in itself. And when we upgraded to this 15-barrel system, we're probably brewing 100 to 120 barrels a month. And literally, after we started moving our cans, about 6 months into it, there was no way for us to keep up. And that's basically Lancaster County. We have a little bit of distribution in Berks County to the north, and a couple things going on in some other surrounding counties. But today was the first day I delivered down toward the Philadelphia area, which you guys know Philadelphia is a huge beer market. So we haven't even begun to tap that yet, and we're already out of beer.
So let's transition a little bit over to Dan. Dan, how did you get involved in this mix?
Well, I actually first read it on Boniface in the newspaper, and I was pretty excited because I live about 10 minutes from here. So it's awesome the new brewery's going to open. So I kind of, started stalking the area where I thought you were going to be. And I had gotten into craft beer a few years before. I always, whenever I went to a bar, I was looking at, what's that different tap? I wanted to try whatever that was. So that's kind of my meeting with craft beer. But it's really exciting to have a real local brewery doing stuff. Started going, got to know John, started helping out filling growlers, and I have some free time in the summer, so I started volunteering in the summers, and one thing led to another, and I guess Mike and John realized that I was serious about helping out, and opportunity presented itself to become a partner in the business, and thankfully my wife agreed, and we jumped right in, and that was a few years ago, and it's been a crazy ride since that.
So your role right now is, do you kind of handle like the marketing aspect of everything?
Yeah, that's basically it. All social media stuff. Do a lot of the events, fests, things like that. Mike handles most of the sales, and he comes to some of those marketing events with me, thankfully. So I'm not always by myself or anything like that. It's a team effort. When I'm here during the summer, I help out in the brewery whenever I can during it's needed. So I'll do anything that I need to help us move on.
I just had an image. I had to interrupt. When you said you do a lot of the events, I just imagined Julie from the Love Boat. So I think that's your role.
I don't know, but okay, if you want to do it.
You greet everyone. You're the face of St. Boniface.
I guess Mike and John later that.
Yeah, definitely.
That should be a T-shirt.
So as a byproduct, you get to drink a bunch of awesome beer, right? So, and I have to say, I'm drinking your pale ale, Paideia.
Nice.
So I'll say this: I'm a bit, and Lola and Gil know I'm a big fan of Galaxy hops, but this Citra hop. I think this is probably one of the few times that I've had a beer that was single hopped with Citra, and I have a second love. Like this, I mean this beer, not to blow smoke or anything, but this beer is very well made. The Citra hops are amazing in that it's appropriately named. It smells like the flesh, not just like pith, but it smells like the flesh of citrus fruits, and it's a nice clean bitterness. And I mean, with the pale ale, obviously you expect a little more balance, and this beer is that. I mean, is this beer? It's got to be one of your best sellers, I imagine.
Oh yeah, that's what we actually chose. So we canned two of our products. We canned our pale ale and our double IPA because they were by far our biggest sellers, and I mean, we couldn't keep up batch to batch this summer. We'd be canning, and Mike would be taking out the door on pallets, and it'd be gone the next day. Everything
Came back freshly.
Yeah.
What's the ABV on this? It's at 5%, 5.5? Okay, so this is essentially Your session beer. I mean, well, I guess it depends on who's drinking it, right?
Right.
So is this your flagship beer, the pale ale, or is it the double IPA?
I think the pale ale is our flagship. I mean that it is our best seller, especially in the summer. So part of it is that we haven't gone through a full year with the cans yet. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in the winter. I've seen a little bit of a trend toward the double IPA over the last month. I think with the weather changing, that there's more desire for a higher alcohol beer. So we'll
Mhm.
see. And the session beer is more of a summer thing. I don't know how that's going to work out, but it'll be
But
interesting to see.
you guys had for Brown this like first not tomorrow.
Yeah.
The
Crowler.
Crowler.
Oh yeah, yeah. We started the Crowler because we actually as soon as we started canning, people were like, oh, when are you canning this beer and when are you canning that beer? And so we went to Crowler route because now we do can everything off tap, but I know it's not really what the same, but people love it. It's people are once they figured out what it was, I think it's really kind of caught on here and
It's the same for me. I mean, I mean, when I open a can, I intend to finish it. When I open a crawler, I intend to finish it. So, and I mean, it's better than a growler. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how long the beer stays fresh in a growler because I don't give it a chance, but I imagine it's infinitely longer than being in a growler. So it's like getting a little tiny keg filled up right there at the counter. So I
Yep.
mean, I think the growler obviously we've been seeing more and more people go that route. We're going to keep seeing more and more people um, go that route. So let's talk a little bit about your distribution. Are you guys just like in the Lancaster? Well, let me rewind. On your website, you said that you got to a point where almost all of your beer was being sold on premise, and you had to pull back from some of your bar accounts. Is that still the case? I mean, is that part of the reason why you guys are getting four more fermenters added in on Monday?
No, that problem was when we were only at 3 barrels.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, right. So when we opened our tap room, so we started out downtown in kind of a garage type of situation.
dungeon.
Yeah, dungeon. It was an old shoe factory. Um, but beginning of 2013, we moved to our present facility, and that June we opened the tap room. When we opened the tap room, then all the beer we could make with that 3 barrel system was going out of the tap room. So we had to pull back all of our draft sales until we upgraded to the 15 barrel system.
okay.
I remember I forgot to say that I have the postcard that you guys used to have. And at the back, you have your 4 beers that you
Oh, yeah.
have lines. I
Yeah,
still
yeah.
have that postcard.
Nice. We put that in the vault
Yeah.
for years down the road.
So Mike, I guess this question's kind of geared more towards you.
Sure.
What we ask this question of almost everybody, and just because I'm curious as to what is your identity as a brewery. I mean, obviously, if I had to judge you based off your pale ale, I'd say you guys are definitely solid, but it doesn't. I guess the nature of pale ale means that it's balanced. Are you guys intending to be an overall a balanced brewery, or do you want to lean toward more of the hoppy side, more of the multi side? Do you want to kind of not necessarily have a specific identity and continue trying different stuff? How do you guys lean?
Well, I think up to this point, I would say that we are interested in well balanced, solid beers that lean more toward English styles. We've done some Belgians that we're not thrilled with. John, our brewer, hates doing Belgians. It's like every time the Belgian yeast gets in the brew house, something goes wrong. So we tend to stay toward the English styles, American styles, and the goal really is well balanced beers. So we're not overly hoppy, not overly malty. We try to keep that balance.
Okay. What are your barrelage projections for this year?
So I actually was just talking to John about that. We're gonna probably hit about 1,500 by the end of this year.
Okay.
Really close to that. And then he's looking at guesstimating 3,400 to 3,500 next year. So we'll see.
So you're
So
hoping that you're going to start making bottles.
We're making money. I mean, yeah, it's good. I mean, we're not hand over fist at this point, but it's profitable.
so that 1,500 estimation takes into account the new fermenters that you guys are getting, or is it too
Well,
late in the year to take that into account?
yeah, until we get them in, get everything online,
Mhm.
we might be able to get a batch in each one, depending on maybe two in each one. So that's why it could be a little less or it could be a little bit more.
So is it going to end up being the case where you guys are just kind of getting more beer to your existing customer base, or are you going to expand distribution a little more
We're,
in
def-
this?
we're definitely going to have to expand distribution, and that's kind of a point that's in flux right now. Exactly what our strategy is going to be. We definitely want to tap the Philly market to some degree. Right now, all of our distribution is self-distribution, other than Berks County. We have Beer Mart in Berks County that distributes for us. But other than that, I'm selling and delivering everything that goes out of here. So I'm not going to be able to do that once we double what we're doing. We're going to have to bring somebody else on and have a team to do that. And then the question is, do we give that up to distributors so that we don't have to worry about it? And we're at that point right now where we're trying to figure that out.
Okay.
So is that being a challenge for you guys to balance like your flagship beers and your bags because you have to serve your people expect like half a dozen of beer and stuff.
That's definitely been a problem. It's like, all throughout the summer, we're counting how many kegs we have left of a certain beer, knowing that we don't want to kick it in the tap room, we don't want to run out of it because we want to service our customers here in Ephrata. So it's been a juggling act. I mean, I would say for most of the existence of the company to keep up with the beer. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but we also want to be able to keep those customers, providing those customers with beer, or they're going to turn somewhere else.
So I see you guys in some grocery shops and stuff. Is that self-distributed?
Oh yeah, everything's delivered by us. In Lancaster, Lebanon, Harrisburg area, York, we do all of that.
So you don't have to. So does you guys are Lancaster, you don't have to get it through to your system at all.
Pennsylvania allows for self-distribution by production breweries.
Up to a certain level, is it 10,000 barrels or? I don't remember the number.
So it actually gives small breweries a chance to, keep a little bit more of themselves instead of through distributors.
From a logistics standpoint, I mean, you guys are kind of in between two. Like Mike, you just said, Philly's a pretty big deal beer city, and I dare to say that Harrisburg is emerging for sure.
Right.
I mean, you guys are kind of in a good spot because you're right between the two, right?
Yeah, we're right between Harrisburg, Philly. It's only an hour and a half to Baltimore. It's 2.5 hours to New York City. So we're in a really good spot geographically, to be able to move some beer.
I mean, I tell you what, man. If you guys keep expanding and you keep making beer of this quality, I don't see any reason why you can't do well and be super successful. So hats off to you. You guys are doing good, and I like that nice, steady, controlled growth, and keeping the fact that you were willing to pull your beer from your accounts, and make sure that you were serving the people who were coming directly to your spot to spend their hard-earned money says a lot about your approach. So a lot of respect to you guys for that.
Well, Lancaster, I think Lancaster, Philadelphia, Harrisburg area, it's kind of an exploding market right now. It's crazy what happened in the last 2 years. It's good, but it's bad at the same time because it's tough because you have a lot of people into that market too. I know just new breweries open not far away. So it's kind of crazy right now. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like it seems like there's new breweries opening all the time in our area, and I think that's a great thing. Turn more people into craft beer. If everybody keeps on making good beer, I think the sky's the limit for everything.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about these articles that we found this week right here. And like I said, and Lola, before we get to the Ballast Point IPO article, I just want to mention that, and I mean this isn't really news, but I think it's worth mentioning because I think it's cool. Boulevard is about to add six 1,000 barrel fermentation tanks.
Wow.
That's crazy. Okay, I just want to go ahead and get that out there.
They're going from a boulevard to a highway.
Going from Boulevard to Fifth Avenue.
Well, I think what was that? Boulevard pilot system is 15 barrels.
You say 50?
15.
Oh, 50.
Yeah.
All right, so Lola, let's talk about this article that's been in the news all week by everybody, talking about Ballast Point and their IPO. What you got?
All right, they're going public. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about finance stuff, but they filed a Form S-1 with the Security Commission on the 19th, so just a few days ago. My favorite part of the article is they want their symbol to be pint. You know how the NASDAQ or whatever has the little letters that represents the company? They want theirs to be pint. And the article that I read was on brewbound.com, and it's written by Chris Bernari. He tried to get some information from Jim Buchler. I might be saying that right. I might not be. He's the CEO of the brewery, but he wasn't allowed to give any information because it's still ongoing. But according to the filing, the founder, Jack White Jr., already owns 50.9% of the company. He already owns a whole lot, basically. This says that Class A stockholders will be entitled to 1 vote per share. Class B stockholders will be entitled to 10 votes per share. But Jack White Jr., not the musician, although in my head he is a musician, and he's going, bam. Jack White Jr. will continue to control a majority of the voting power. So basically, even though it's going to be public, Ballast is still going to have a big hand in what's going on. And if people don't know, Ballast Point has been around for 23 years. And they've really been growing a lot the last few years. In fact, they did a compound annual growth rate of 81.8%. And if you're interested in the barrel system, they produced 122,890 barrels of beer last year. They did $48.9 million in net revenue. They sold 37,000 barrels of beer. Just a bunch of millions and just a bunch of money. That's all you need to know. Lots of money, lots of barrels.
Yeah, I mean, Lola, I think the biggest thing is what you were just talking about, the barrelage. So, in 2012, they sold 37,000 barrels of beer.
Yeah.
And then in 2014, they went from 37,000 and 3,000.
So that's like 3 times the growth.
You said that we talked to you that it's one of the younger things. I mean, I've been how long he was in Europe for a long time because they're not only doing a lot of beer, they're increasing their spirit items too. They're doing a lot of long rounds and stuff like that. And they just have a bunch of prizes and medals down in Europe. So they're doing okay. They're trying to achieve a lot of international markets.
I saw they're going to can those spirits. Did you see that? They're going to can like a rum and coke kind of thing. I saw that advertisement for some of you guys pick up on that anywhere?
I didn't know that was legal.
I didn't know either. But I'm awake now. I want some. Give it to me.
Yeah, I saw that. I just saw it on I saw it on my Facebook page or something like that.
Nice.
Or a month ago or something like that. So I was kind of wondering the same thing, like you said. I didn't know that would be legal. So
because I think they changed. It's not us one brewing companies, but us one brews and spirits.
Yeah. So
great stuff. They are.
So just to kind of harp on the ridiculous path of growth that they've been on. Like I said, 2014, 37,000. I'm sorry, 2012, 37,000. 2014, 123,000. Through June of this year, they were at 118,000. That I don't
How?
even. I mean, that's you hear that? I can't even comprehend that. That's insane. And all this is considering that when they go public, they're trying to raise 173 million dollars. This is like only the 31st biggest brewery in the country. This is not one of the big guys. Like, I mean, even though Ballast Point is popular, they're not pumping out, you know, 900,000 barrels a year like Stone or whatever it is, Lagunitas and Sierra Nevada and those guys are putting out. This is a relatively, I mean, I'm not gonna say they're
And
small.
again, their spirit side must be doing really good too.
Well, I mean,
Um,
well, they talk about barrelage though, so I don't. Well, maybe they talk about barrels and spirits too. I don't know anything about the spirits. I just drink them. But
I
anyway,
enjoy
that's
them.
I I thought that was a good article. I think this is a awesome alternative to selling out to AB InBev. I mean, this way, a lot of the guys who are there now still get to retain control. And I mean, if they've been this successful up to this point, you have to think that there was some type of passion and consideration for the actual beer that they were drinking, and not just about the bottom line, because they make some of the most popular beers in the country, mainly their IPA Sculpin and
Hmm.
Grapefruit Sculpin and stuff like that. So obviously they have a focus on making great beer, and that's gotten them to this point. So it's reasonable to expect that that's the type of passion that's going to kind of keep fueling their growth. So cheers to those guys, man. I like the fact that they didn't sell out,
Hmm.
but I guess selling out is relative these days. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this article I found that's speaking about how craft beer is booming. We found this article from the New York Times, and essentially what it boils down to is obviously craft beer has been growing for specifically from the last year to this year, with the inclusion of Yingling. Craft beer market share has increased, and now you got these big guys who are coming in buying up these smaller breweries. So even though craft beer is doing really well right now, there's a lot of concern, specifically with the potential AB InBev and SAB Miller merger, about distribution.
and
I know,
a brewery a day. It's not a brewery a day. It's crazy.
yeah. So, um, even though we kind of beat up on the three-tier system sometimes, I mean, it actually it kind of works if you consider it from the perspective of we are able to relatively easily get California beer out here, and that's essentially because of the three-tier system and the distribution network. But the problem is, I mean, the intention, and I've never understood this, but the intention behind the three-tier system was to keep the brewer and the consumer separate from each other, to put a middleman in there. I don't understand how it's been allowed to allow breweries to own distributors, because now essentially you've removed the middleman, whatever. But now when you speak about this a potential merger between AB InBev and SAB Miller, now you have these distributors who are owned by these big guys. They're going to look at their portfolios. They're going to look and see which brands they're carrying, and it's only natural to expect that they're going to intend to kind of go toward their brands. And the more they go toward their brands, that's more shelf space that craft breweries are losing. That's more shelf space that St. Boniface can't get, and it starts eventually hurting craft beer. So, um, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I have really no idea what the implications are going to be. Number one, whether they're going to, pull it off, or be approved. But I don't know. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to see all the acquisitions that are happening by, ABI already, and now for in the craft beer sector, now to basically buy their biggest competitor in our nation. But even something that could happen.
It's amazing to me when you talk about the distribution, if that could actually happen, like the worst case scenario that you're putting forth, that they would take over the two main houses in any area and say, okay, you're just going to sell our beer. You're gonna cut down on craft beer sales. I mean, that's going right back to the late 1800s with all the trusts and everything. It's hard for me to imagine that would stand. I mean, I know our government is corrupt, and maybe they can buy them off, make that happen, but I don't know. I'd be shocked if that happened.
Well, what they were saying that the Justice Department is going to do is they'd make essentially SAB Miller split and sell off the Miller Coors portion of SAB Miller. So, I mean, I don't know that that's going to remedy the potential problem. And Mike, I gotta tell you, I'm not sure that this is that's a worst case scenario. I mean, I think that may actually be a pretty plausible thing. I mean, think about it. Why wouldn't it happen? I mean, why wouldn't they choose to try to put as much of their beer in the market as they could?
Well, they would, but so the way that you stated it, I don't know if you're thinking quite accurately about it. Those houses aren't actually owned by Miller Coors or by InBev or whoever. They're privately owned. The biggest beer they distribute is going to be Budweiser. So in a sense, they own them, but they don't own them. They don't control them. They do, but they don't
control them with money.
Yeah, but that's what they're saying. So they InBev wouldn't actually be buying the Miller brand or the Coors brand.
So the Miller Coors brand is one brand, right? Essentially, well, they're owned by the same company,
right?
And so they would be, from a global perspective, they would have all of the SAB Miller holdings, but just in the United States, they would have to sell off the Miller Coors part of SAB Miller.
Yeah,
that's
the biggest part of the whole opposition is that they're struggling for a lot of markets. They need to get into emerging markets like Africa and China, which they pulled out some years ago. And Miller has said Miller has a big influence there. So those two are big emerging markets that they want to go back to the game. And it's much easier to acquire. So like said Miller should get into the market. It's just the amount of money is probably. And I think the other problem is that there are states where you already own distribution, which is I just don't understand how that along at all. Some states allow you to have two parts of different tiers, which is the consumer is not part of the three tiers. It's just the producing, distribution, of the retail. And when you own both production and distribution, like nobody can convince me that there's not unfair against all distribution there. It's not good.
But I think that's what they did with when AB bought Grupo Modelo, they sold off the Modelo brands in the United States. So they got the global rights, but within the states, the Justice Department wouldn't allow them to do it unless they sold off, I guess it's maybe Dos Equis and Modelo and Corona and all that stuff within the state. So I just think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, nobody really knows how, just like Dan was saying, nobody really knows how this is going to transpire. But at the same time, I mean, it seems kind of scary for the craft beer crowd just because of the uncertainty that's involved and the potential harm that can be done. So, I mean, we got to keep our fingers crossed on the Justice Department.
1800s all over the game.
Well, yeah, if you study the history of the trust, especially Standard Oil, the way they did it was they owned all the distribution. So they would own the pipelines, they would own the railroads, they would own every way to move the oil, they would own it, and so they would cut the little guy out. We have such a history of antitrust in this country. It would be hard for me to imagine that the public would stand for it. That's my point.
I think that's going to be the key, especially since the craft beer, segment is growing and there's more and more people who are enjoying craft beer, and all of a sudden their, if their choices are reduced, and I think the public, the fact that we have a growing segment will be on our side. That if it goes that route, that maybe we'll be able to get some public support at least to get behind craft beers.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about releases that are coming up. This week in Anderson Valley out of Boonville, California, they're releasing their Briny Melon Goza. That's actually brewed with watermelon. That sounds delicious. Victory in your guys' neck of the woods in Downtown, Pennsylvania, they're releasing their Vital IPA. That's along the lines of Enjoy By. That's a drink fresh IPA that was released this weekend. Great Lakes out of Cleveland, they're releasing their pumpkin ale brewed with pumpkins from their own farm. That was just released on Monday. Pipeworks and Emporium out of Chicago, they have a collaboration brew, Twin Pines Mall Pale Ale brewed with spruce tips and wildflower honey. That's part of their Back to the Brewcher release that was released yesterday it was 10/21/2015 at 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's when goes back.
Last week we had Left Hand on the show. They're releasing their Wake Up Dead Russian Imperial Stout. It's going to be on Nitro. That's coming early next week. That should be a really good one. Dogfish Head, they're having their Higher Math 20th anniversary, which is a golden ale brewed with chocolate and sour cherry juice. That's going to be a 17% beer, be coming out the first week of November. My neck of the woods, Hardywood Park, down in Richmond, Virginia, they're releasing their Trickery. This is a stout that's aged in apple brandy barrels for 8 months. I must make my way down to Hardywood Park for that release.
That's the one we had at City, right?
Huh?
Was it Foolery or Trickery we had at City?
I get Foolery and Trickery mixed up.
I get them mixed up as well, so I'm gonna have to look at my. I just remember to be really good beer, whatever he wants with that.
Let's see here. We have Ale Works out of Williamsburg, Virginia. They're releasing their Cafe Royale coffee style aged in bourbon barrels that was released on Saturday. This must be a second release of that beer because I know that came out maybe like a month or two ago. This is an exciting one for me. I love Firestone Walker. They're releasing their 19th anniversary barrel aged American Strong Ale. That's gonna be on. It says November 1st, but I've also seen conflicting articles saying that it's going to be released on October 31st.
Well,
I'm not sure.
they have a release party. It's going to be a local on the 31st, and then by distribution with the first.
Okay. Sierra Nevada is releasing a beer that I absolutely look forward to every year. Celebration IPA is coming out this weekend. I will be getting a case of that. Founders out of Grand Rapids, Backwards Bastard Barrel Aged Scotch Ale comes out tomorrow, and Oscar Blues is releasing their Death by Coconut Irish Porter coming out next week. I was at a beer festival earlier in the first half of September. They were pouring that, and it kicked. I didn't get any of it, so.
I'm still not sure what they're calling national distribution because there's some taps are really good.
Say again?
I'm not sure yet what they meant by national distribution. I think it's just going to be some time on the you want.
No. So I follow them on Instagram. The 12-ounce cans are going to be nationally distributed. I think the bigger cans, I don't know if it's 16 ounce or whatever, the bigger cans are going to be, yeah, it's just going to be in North Carolina and Colorado, their home states. So 12-ounce cans are going out across the country. Do you guys have any new releases coming up?
Actually, we just released 2 days ago our molasses porter for the fall. We'll have and Gil already finished the trying on it earlier. We have in a couple weeks our Cocalico Stout that we brew with a local account of ours, and then in November we'll be having our blackcurrant stout. So some darker, heavy beers for the winter season coming out here over the next month or so.
Yeah, my palate definitely changes with the season, and I find myself gravitating not only towards darker beers, but well, I don't want to say darker beer and sound like a rookie. Um, Higher ABV beers and more robust, flavorful, roasted flavored beers. So right on time with that. Festivals coming up. Austin Beer Week in Austin, Texas goes from the 23rd, which is tomorrow, to November 1st. Baltimore Craft Beer Festival, that's going to be going on Saturday. Hub City Brewfest in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I just came back from South Carolina. That's also going on Saturday. The Great International Beer Festival in Providence, Rhode Island. That's going to be on Saturday as well. Saturdays seems to be a popular festival day this month. The Halloween Witchcraft Beer Fest in Geneva, Illinois. That's going to be on, you guessed it, Halloween.
That's the best. That's the best festival thing ever.
And the Rio de Cerveza Brewfest in Yuma, Arizona. That's going to be on Saturday as well. So, and also, I think Bourbon County Stout is going to be releasing sometime soon here. They have in the next month the rare Bourbon County brand stout that's coming out. So, be on the lookout for that. And if you're lucky enough to get one, don't be selfish. Send that one to me, and I'll be sure to tell you how it tastes. So, guys, definitely want to thank you so much for joining us. I know you guys are already closed for a night, but you've been wonderful guests. We appreciate you guys coming on the show, and I wish you guys nothing but the best with your expansion. And it'll be a good problem to have if you have to keep adding fermenters and keep growing. So cheers to you, and I wish you guys nothing but the best.
Well, thanks so much for having us on. It's an awesome experience. And, it's funny when we were first signing up with Gil to get on there and looking at the people before us and after us. It's pretty good company to be with. So when you guys get up to Pennsylvania, be sure to stop by and let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Pleasure is ours. So be sure to join us next week when I think we have the brewery on next week.
The brewery, yeah.
So we have Patrick Rue from the brewery on next week. So be sure to join in for that show. But until then, find some great friends, find some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.